What really happened behind the scenes of ECW's Taz versus UFC's Paul Varelans? What is the truth behind the infamous story told by Missy Hyatt, Paul Varelans, and Perry Saturn that involved knockouts and blowjobs? In the wild world of ECW, few stories shock the senses anymore. Today we are diving into this complex web of shoots, worked shoots, backstage politics, personal negotiations, and intense confrontations at ECW's Hardcore Heaven 1996. How did ECW and UFC's paths cross in 1996? In 1996, ECW faced a unique challenge in convincing pay-per-view companies they were pro wrestling. Meanwhile, UFC struggled to prove their legitimacy as a real fighting sport. This confusion led to an unexpected crossover when ECW brought in UFC fighter Paul Varelans to face Taz in what was billed as a shoot fight. ECW was known for its hardcore, no-holds-barred style, which often blurred the lines between reality and scripted entertainment. This made it difficult for pay-per-view companies to categorize the promotion. On the other hand, UFC, which was still in its infancy, was often misunderstood as well. Paul Heyman wanted someone legit to make his next guy, Taz, look good. Paul Heyman brought in a legitimate fighter from the world of mixed martial arts to face Taz in a pro wrestling match, billed as a shoot fight. Who was Paul Varelans? Paul Varelans, nicknamed the Polar Bear, was a 6'8", 300-pound UFC fighter known for his sheer size and toughness. Despite a mixed record, Varelans earned notoriety for his performance in early UFC events, including a memorable bout against Marco Ruiz at UFC 7. In the world of UFC, Varelans was a formidable presence. His size alone made him a fearsome competitor, and his fights were characterized by his ability to absorb punishment and use his size to his advantage.
Varelans much bigger than Worsham. Right now, we're looking forward to meeting our next competitor.
It's an honor to be accepted for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Things have got a little too virtual for me.
Elbow by Varelans. Worsham lands some punches to the face again. And Varelans is bloody.
That's going to be it. That's going to be it.
Varelans' legitimate fighting background added a sense of realism and danger to the planned ECW match, making him a unique addition to the roster. What did it take to get Varelans to agree to lose the match? Depends on who you believe. It's never been disclosed how much Varelans made this night, but at this time in UFC, these fighters didn't get paid a lot. Varelans in an interview says he was paid a hefty amount, but Missy Hyatt says it was probably more like $500. Seems like it wasn't enough for Varelans to lose the match against Taz until Missy Hyatt promised her services to Paul to do the job to Taz in a worked shoot fight.
I basically promised him me if he would do it. So he did it, and he does the job, and he comes back into the dressing room. He's like, and he comes to me, he's like, okay, are we going to the hotel now? And I'm like, no, I don't fuck jobbers.
Varelans, despite his willingness to explore pro wrestling, was protective of his reputation. Heyman's solution enlisted Missy Hyatt to sweeten the deal. How was the match between Taz and Varelans presented to the fans? Billed as a shoot fight, ECW tried to build anticipation for the match by emphasizing Taz's reputation as a legitimate tough guy who could hold his own against real fighters. The promotion highlighted Taz's suplexes and submission moves, presented him as a formidable opponent despite his smaller size. Varelans' presence added a sense of danger and unpredictability. However, the concept of a shoot fight within a scripted wrestling event created confusion. The ECW fans didn't like this match at all, letting Taz know and everyone know immediately it was bullshit and Taz could do nothing but agree.
You know what? You're right. You're right. That was bullshit.
What actually happened in the ring, and how did Perry Saturn's interference change the course of the match? The story was clunky and unconvincing, with awkward takedown attempts and unconvincing groundwork. Perry Saturn's interference delivering a missile dropkick to the back of the head of Varelans allowed Taz to secure the victory with a Taz mission. As the match unfolded, it became clear that the chemistry between Taz and Varelans was lacking. Taz, despite his best efforts, struggled to make the match look believable against the much larger Varelans. Perry Saturn says Paul Heyman got him to actually knock Varelans out with the missile dropkick, which led to the finish of the match. Perry in this interview can be heard saying this.
So then Paulie brings me over because I was one of his guys that he trusted, you know. And Varn looks at us and he goes, I don't know, if a guy can stand on another guy's shoulder, I don't know, and I'm still taller, I don't know if it's believable. And Paulie looked at me and he just shook his head.
It looks to me like it was planned. The drop kick was a bit stiff, but doesn't look like Varelans actually went out. What do you think? Would Paul Heyman or Saturn risk such a dangerous attack on a UFC legit shoot fighter in this worked shoot? What happened after the match? What about the blowjob? After the match, Varelans expected Hyatt to fulfill her promise, but she famously responded, "I don't fuck jobbers," leaving Varelans humiliated. Rumors suggest he destroyed the locker room in anger, although Hyatt doesn't recall this incident. Having multiple stories here also between Missy Hyatt Hyatt and Varelans. Did Varelans already get the blowjob before this event even started, like he suggests in this interview, or would this have been the first and only blowjob from Missy Hyatt like she says?
If you read her book, she says that I did the work for a blowjob. Me and her dated for, the whole time. Every time I came out, which was a bunch, we were dating. So when people date, there's natural human things that happen.
Mixing a scripted outcome with personal drama created by the boss. If you enjoyed this real-life backstage story, check out this video recalling the bitter relationship between the Ultimate Warrior and Jake the Snake Roberts. You can check that out here.